Hey everybody, DM Jim here, and welcome to a new episode of the Tabletop Engineer. Right now, if you're like me, you are stuck at home. Now, this video may be very dated in a year or two, but right now, COVID-19 is running rampant across the world, and depending on what country you're in, many of us have been asked to shelter in place, basically stay at home and ride this thing out. That's all good if you're a board gamer and your family's into board games, but what if you're into war games and your best friends are on the other side of the city or just down the road, but you just can't risk getting together? Well, I have been investigating different methods for playing war games virtually, online. And the one that's really sort of grabbed my interest right now is called the Tabletop Simulator. It's usually $20, but apparently it goes on sale quite a bit for 50%. So keep an eye out. You may be able to get it for $10, but it's on Steam. Now, Steam is where you can buy a lot of computer games and play them, and I've got a lot of Steam games. But you download it, and it runs on Mac or Windows. I think it probably runs on other platforms, but I'm a Mac user. So what you're about to see is a video tutorial from my laptop, which is a Mac, okay? So I apologize, but typically whatever you can do with a Mac, you can typically do with Windows. You just got to maybe figure out what the shortcut keys are and things like that. So what am I going to do? Well, there are a lot of games that I want to play online with my friends. I play Frostgrave, I play Starbreach, I play Relic Blade. I want to start playing Twisted. All these war games that I really enjoy. And when I say war games, I'm really talking about skirmish war games, because I prefer to play games that are like 5 to 10 minis. I don't want to play Warhammer with 50 minis. Although Tabletop Simulator, you can go out there and search on YouTube and you will find people who are playing Warhammer with massive armies. They're playing it online digitally using the Tabletop Simulator. Now, with Frostgrave just uses a D20. Let's see what else. Relic Blade just uses a D6, but a game like Starbreach uses these very unique 6-sided dice like this. They have symbols on them, and each of the symbols represents an order that you can give to one of your minis. Now, you're not required to buy these dice. Each face has a symbol, but also a number. So you could use a standard D6 on Tabletop Simulator. If you want to play Starbreach, you could do that. The downside is the symbol, once you play a few games, you start getting to where you recognize the symbols. And when you assign an order to one of your minis, you actually place that die on the tabletop next to the mini with the side facing up that represents its order. And so what this does is it allows you to look at your opponent and see, did that mini, go down? Is he hunkered down for cover? Is he advancing? Is he healing? These are all options on these dice. But for me, I prefer to play with the real dice, obviously, that have the symbols. But in Tabletop Simulator, I quickly noticed that I could not find any Starbreach dice. Now, I don't claim to be the owner of this method, because Tabletop Simulator has made a method for you to import custom dice. I went out, I found some YouTube videos that kind of walked me through it, but they create different dice. I need to create Starbreach dice. So what you're going to see in this video are the steps I did to recreate this set of silver and black dice. Now in Starbreach, both players use these dice, and you need separate colors because you don't want to have them mixed up. So I will be making a blue set for player number 2. Enjoy the video. I hope it inspires you to maybe check out Tabletop Simulator, or the Tabletop Simulator is the full name. And if you play Starbreach and you want to play online, let me know, because I'm trying my best to learn how to play this game online. And the first roadblock I hit was the dice. This roadblock's gone. I'm going to move on to another one, which is importing my army, the custom miniatures I've made to play physically. I want to bring those into the game. So in another video, I'm going to show you how to do that. But for this video, let's get to the let's get to the Mac desktop, and I'll show you how I imported these custom Starbreach dice so that I can use them on Tabletop Simulator. I began this project by taking a top-down photo of 6 of the faces of the Starbreach dice, as you see here. Just take the best photo you can. You don't have to worry if the dice are a little skewed, because you can fix that later. Next, what I did was I opened up Tabletop Simulator in Steam, and you need to grab a template for the dice. This one is in a modding folder under Dice, and I'm just using the D6 one. So I made a copy of that, which I then opened up in Pages. You can see it on the right here and the photo on the left. Then what I did was I held down the Shift key and made a selection window around the first die, number 1. And I hold the Shift key down so the selection area is a perfect square. I hit Control-C, Control-V, and I paste a copy in. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to size it to fit in the number 1 slot. Now, if you'll notice, the number 1 slot is upside down. So right here, I'm just resizing a little bit, but let me show you. So if I pull the number 1 down, you can see the 1 is upside down. So I just take this image and I use the controls over on the right, and I'm going to rotate it 180 degrees so that it's upside down. Now all I have to do is go back to the photo, and I can use that selection box without changing its size. I move it over the number 2 die, do a Command-C, and then go back to Pages and do a Command-V to paste a copy in. Now what I can do is Pages will let me resize an image to match another one. So all I do is I line it up with the number 1 die face, and then I use the draggers to make it the same exact size. Now as I'm doing die 3, 4, 5, and 6, what I want you to notice is, you'll notice that the template on the right hand side has a gray box around each number. Do not cover up that gray box. I tried this earlier, and if any part of the border is covered up, it can mess up the final result. So as you'll see when I resize the number 4 here, there's a little sliver of white all around the image, in between the image and the black border. So just, you can take the photo right up to the black border, just don't override the black border. Now I do number 5 the same exact way. I just shrink it down to, what I do is I shrink it down, I move it up to where it sort of snaps with die number 4, and then I can use the draggers to match it to the number 4 one. Now the number 6 one is just like the number 1 die. It needs to be flipped 180 degrees. So what I'm going to do here is just put it in there. I'm going to match its size to the number 3 to the left, and then I will go over and use the rotate feature to rotate it 180 degrees. Now once that's done, I make a PDF of this just for my own record, so I'll always have it. I make a PDF of it, and then what I'm going to do is, after this PDF is created right here, I'm going to take a screenshot of it. Actually, I convert it to a PNG. You don't have to do this. I could have just taken a screenshot, but I like to have records of all the documents I used. So I just exported it to PNG, and then what it allows me to do is to draw an exact selection window around the entire template. So what you're going to see me do here is draw a selection window, and then I use those little side handles, midpoint handles, to tighten it up and get it exactly where I need. Now I'm holding the Shift key down so that I get a perfect square for the selection window. And you don't have to worry, it doesn't have to be exact. And you'll understand in a moment why it doesn't have to match up to every edge. You just want to make sure that you get as close to perfect of a screenshot of a square as you can, including those black borders. So here I am taking a copy. I took a screenshot, and what I'm going to do next is I'm going to resize this to 2048 by 2048 pixels. A perfect square. It just enlarges it a little bit, and that will match what Tabletop Simulator wants for a template image. I give it a name, and after I rename it, I'm going to go back into Tabletop Simulator. Now I click Create Single Player because I'm just demoing how I did this. There are other ways to do this for like multiplayer and single player games. I'm going to go into the classic options and choose custom because I want to make a custom item. Close down the custom deck and custom board for now because I'm just showing you how to make a custom die. So up at the top, I want to go into the Objects tool, and I'm going to choose Components. And again, I'm making a custom object, so I'm going to select Custom right here. And then up in the to the right is Dice. I click that, and you'll see D4, D6, D8. I choose D6, and then I go and browse where I took that screenshot of the dice. When I click it, it loads, and if I zoom in here, you'll see I now have a Star Breach die. And you can roll it by tapping the letter R, and it just randomly rolls it. If you tap it real fast, it throws it up in the air and balances. You can hit Control-C, Control-V to make copies of the die, however many copies you want. If you're playing Star Breach, you'll have one die for each miniature that you bring to the game in your warband. Now, as I zoom in here a little bit, I want you to notice that when you have a die selected, you can tap numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and it will turn it to that die face. And that's important because in Star Breach, you don't roll these dice. You actually assign them to your warband. Each face is a different order. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm just pulling out some generic minis because I haven't got my Star Breach minis pulled in yet. But I want to show you in Star Breach, when you move a mini or assign a mini, you put a die next to it, and then you pick the face. So right here, I'm doing a heal for this guy, even though he's a fantasy, he's not science fiction. And for this one, I choose an advance, which he'll advance and take a shot. Actually, yeah, there we go. I can't remember what I chose for him, but once you place a die, you can right-click on it and lock it so you can't accidentally knock it away or drag it. And you can toggle this by putting the mouse pointer over the die and tapping L to lock it and then L to unlock it again. So you can see here that I locked it and then I unlocked it. And it's a nice feature so that when you place a die next to one of your minis, your opponent doesn't accidentally grab it and pick it up and lose what you had assigned. That was it. I mean, it really wasn't difficult. And again, I'm not claiming to be the owner of how to do this. I had to go and search online. But I just figured, as a tech writer, I tend to try to simplify things as much as I can. Some of the tutorials I found were a little too techy and using things like Illustrator and stuff when there are much simpler tools to use. Now, again, I used a Mac. So if you're using Windows, you'll want to keep that in mind because maybe some of the shortcuts in Tabletop Simulator are a little different. One of the things that stumped me was I kept trying to make copies of the dice. In Mac, it's Command-C. But in Tabletop Simulator, they force you to use the Control key, which is a standard thing for Windows. So I had to get used to doing Control-C, Control-V to copy and paste die. So just little things like that can grab you. I hope you like this video. I will be doing another video that goes along with this on how to create custom minis. Now, and I'm not talking about three-dimensional ones because I don't have that kind of skill yet. But if you want to learn how to import an existing army or warband that you have into Tabletop Simulator, check out another video that I'll probably be posting at the same time I post this one, and it will show you how to do that. All right, that's all I got. This is DM Jim. Thanks for joining me here on an episode of the Tabletop Engineer. If you aren't a member of the Tabletop Engineer Facebook page, I do invite you to come over and join as a friend. Say hello. We have lots of conversations. I sometimes do live videos, especially right now with the COVID-19 situation we're in. I'm trying to stay connected with my friends through video and live discussions and things like that. So come over and join us, and hopefully I'll see you there. Until the next video, this is DM Jim. I'll see you later. Bye.